because you're a wreck just like I'm a wreck. And I can't pick you up and you can't pick me up. Go ahead and pass me by. Text. Y'all, this is right here. It's right there. It says, now watch this. At first it said the certain Chaldeans came near. Now watch what they did. Now watch this. They set this up. Y'all, they set this up pretty cool. Watch this. They set it up by telling the king, it was a certain group of people. But now watch this. Don't you know that when you talk to certain people, they will eventually tell you how they really feel about you? Y'all listen. Listen, can I tell y'all a secret? Sometimes if y'all just shut up long enough and listen to what people got to say, they will tell you how they really feel about you. And see, that's why y'all forgive me, but I'm tired of everybody in the church talking about they got the spirit of discernment. You ain't got the spirit of discernment. If you had the spirit of discernment, you wouldn't be getting knocked upside your head. You would have already know that. Okay. How can you be faithful to somebody at home who cheating and sleeping around, and you can't be faithful to the God that you serve, and the God ain't never let you down? I got a problem with that. Some of us are so faithful to man, but we can't be faithful to God. Oh, okay, I'm in the wrong house. Here it is. Watch this. Here's how they set it up. After he said a certain Chaldean, after they start tattling, here's what they went back and told the king. They said, look at the 12th verse. There are certain Jews. Watch this, y'all. Watch how he talks to the king. Whom, king, you have set over the affairs of the Babylon. In other words, king, you put these men in charge, and they ain't bound. In other words, it wasn't the fact that they were not bowing, it's the fact they wanted the position that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was in. Let me tell you something, just because you are anointed, there's some folk that want your anointing, and they will do whatever it takes to tell God on you. It wasn't about them bowing. It was about them understanding that, hey, these men are, king, you appointed these men. And since you appointed them, now king, hold up, wait a minute. You said anybody that does not bow, you are going to put them in the fiery furnace. What you going to do? Bust them open. That's what you said, king. Turn it up. Cut the fire on. Let me see. Are you king or are you crazy? You said that you are king of kings. You said that anybody that does not worship, anybody that does not, king, I caught them bowing, and not only did I catch them bowing, I caught them being unfaithful. Tell somebody, mind your own business. You got to watch folk that tell on you that are really trying to hide what they not doing. Don't you know people that come to the pastor trying to tell on folk it ain't about them what they not doing. They trying to tell you what they not going to do. It ain't about what she doing. And thank God she doing something. You really saying, well, I ain't going to do in the church. Thank God if you ain't going to do nothing, sit down. But here comes the truth. Watch this. You're not telling me because of my faith. You're telling me because God favored me. The reason why they are really upset is, I was wondering, are they upset because of my faith or are they upset because of my favor? Does that make sense? Is it Teresa, are they mad because I'm standing on God's word, or are they mad because they reached back and got a Jew like me? In other words, guess what? If y'all go back and read the text later on for yourself. You got to understand Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was a Jew. And Jews at that time were slaves. And a slave wasn't supposed to hold nobody's position. Come here, somebody. Let me help you real quick. You say, anybody here ain't got nothing but a high school diploma, but yet you over some folk with master degrees at your job? Guess what? You know you got some haters at work because they ought to be over you, but God saw fit for you to be over them. Don't knock me because of my faith. Knock me because I'm favored. Anybody favored in God in here? Anybody ever walked in the grocery store and they say you next in line? Anybody ever been somewhere and they tell you, come on, it's already been paid for? Anybody ever just been somewhere and the next thing you know that God just set it up and you couldn't even answer the question? Only thing you can say, Lord, I thank you. When you are favored by God, that makes, you know what, I stopped making excuses for folks. I ain't mad. Listen, I'm not mad at the Lord at all. Guess what? I know I'm favored. I thank God that I'm favored, and I walk like I'm favored. When you are favored by God, don't make no excuse for nothing or nobody. Because God's favor is yet favor that was unmerited grace. Anybody really know what favor is? Y'all too quiet for me, because when you got favor, when you really got favor and you know you got favor, you get happy, you get excited. Why? Because God favored me. He thought enough about me to favor. I don't care what you've been through in your life. Maybe y'all ain't got the same testimony I got. Once was lost, but now I ain't always been where I am today. I ain't always had it. I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs too. Some folks are struggling with your elevation because they feel like it should happen to them. But understand that I'm living proof. Is there anybody here that's living proof? So here it is. Is it my faith in God or is it my favor in God? Are you mad at me? But we talk about the fire all the time, but it's really ain't got nothing to do with the fire, y'all. I'm gonna tell you about the fire later. But you got to understand, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was somewhere else because they took a stand. And even later when it talks about, y'all, they only talk for 3 verses, 16, 17, 18. You can look at it real quick because I'm gonna hit it in a minute, and then we're gonna go home. But in a minute, they don't talk in the second, the third, or the fourth. They don't say nothing else. Okay, I'll catch y'all home in just a minute. God has so much power, he will raise and elevate you only to expose you to your haters. Watch this. Sometimes you have to go through trials, not for yourself, but you're doing it for somebody else. I know I'm preaching to somebody, that's all right. I'll holler later. If I don't get to holler today, you can go back and watch something else. I got to preach today. Because there's somebody that don't understand. God, why you got me in this? He didn't do this for you. He did it for somebody in your house to see that he can get them. If he can get you out, he can get them out. And sometimes God has to set you up to set them up so they can get out. Guess what? We are overcomers by the testimony. Why? Because he wants somebody else to get saved under your own trial. That don't seem fair. You mean to tell me, God, I got to go through this for them to get out? Yep. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. Now watch this. Have you ever noticed, and they do this in politics all the time, but have you ever noticed, it's not until God elevates you until your past come up. I'm having church in here, y'all. It's not, watch this. It wasn't until Biden got to be elected before they started talking about now he got folk he been sleeping with. Now he doing. You didn't hear about that, but when he was with Barack Obama, did that come up? It didn't come up. It's not until you are elevated when folk want to tell you about your past. Why is that? Because when God elevates you, folk want to keep thinking, I can't breathe. Why is that? Because they want to stop my elevation. But you got to understand, I don't care what your past is. God works in mysterious ways, and he will make y'all listen, he will make a pimp a preacher. Watch this. The fire is not the plot, but it's how it gets resolved. When the 3 Hebrew boys got elevation And the haters told on him. That's what led them to the fire. Here's the story. Here's the story. It's not about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but it raised by one question. One question in the story. Here it is. Who is that God? The text was never about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being in the fire. It was about who is that God. How do you know? Because the fiery furnace is the answer to the enemy's question. God has put us in some of the stuff we're going through because he wants your enemy to know who he is. So why you think it's about you, it ain't about you. It's all about letting your enemy know about your God. God wants you to know that, listen, if I can save you, I can save them too. Some people are going to know him through your hell and through your pitfall. Now watch this. Here's the story. Their faith did not exempt them from the fire, but it qualified them. If I'm too deep for y'all today, y'all forgive me. Their faith did not exempt them from the fire. It qualified them from the fire. Watch this. Watch this. Watch it. Here go the text. They had a choice, either to bow and live or stand and die. Which one you gonna do? False, what are you talking about? Okay, let me give you text. Here go the text. Go to the 16th with me. Let's work the text, y'all. I'm almost done. Let me get out of here. 16 says, 16 to the 18. They only say 3 verses, and that's it. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve. Y'all understand that? They don't want to call it. Whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thine own hand. But if he does, y'all ain't got no help like that. If for whatever reason he get caught up at the hospital somewhere, if for whatever reason he's still at Deacon Jones' house delivering him from the COVID, if for whatever reason God is still on the main line talking to Big Mama now, guess what? If he don't show up, I'm still not going to bow. He said, be it known, King, we will not serve thy gods, nor will we worship the golden image which thou set up. How do you handle life when trouble is rewarded for being faithful? Can I ask that question one more time? How do you handle life when trouble is the reward for being faithful? I'm preaching in this place. Preach false. How do you handle like trouble will come in your life to get rid of people that you should have gotten rid of a long time ago? Matter of fact, COVID came so you can get rid of some folk too. Some of y'all say, I didn't have time to get rid of folks. Guess what God did? He said, let me shut everything down. You couldn't go to Walmart late at night. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Anybody used to go to Walmart late at night? He shut it down at 8:30. Guess what? You can't say, I'm going, baby, I'll be back. No, sit down and get some folk about your phone. And guess what? Some of y'all didn't even do that. You should have been hitting the delete button on some stuff. You should have been erasing some stuff. Guess what? You had enough time to clean some closets. Do y'all know facts? Here come the facts. Watch this. Home Depot said they had the best sales. You know why? Because while people were at home, people were doing the DIY, do-it-yourself. You know what? Yeah, we wasn't paying nobody. I used to pay for. Guess what? I learned how to do a whole bunch of stuff. Why? Because God gave me enough time to say, sit down and take your time. Y'all ain't helping me. He will help you through the storm and the rain. Y'all got to be careful how you make a pit for somebody else. You'll kill yourself trying to kill me. You trying to set somebody else up and you'll set your own self up. If they died before throwing them, watch this. Here, watch the text. Watch this. Here's the text. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in the 19th, then Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, and the form of this vision, changed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded it that he said, turn it up what? 1 time, 7 times. More than it was, so it won't be heated. Watch this. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind them. No, wait a minute. Hold on. He turns the heat up. And then he sends his mightiest men. So they walked in with them. But when they walked in the fire, how is it that they walked in the fire, and as soon as the men got up to the fire, they were killed? Yes, they were. Y'all help me, somebody. Y'all read the story. How is it that the folk that the king sent with me, that when they got to the fire, they walked into the fire and they got killed, and I still, well, here's my question, saints. I know y'all are theologians. I know I only went to a couple of seminaries. I don't know all of that. But here's my question. If the folk that was supposed to take them in the fire didn't make it because they got killed in the fire, how did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego get in the fire? How? The text, y'all look at the text. The text says the men, 9:20, they commanded the most high men in the army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them in the burning furnace. Then these men were bound, their coats, their hose, their hose, the garment, and they were cast in the midst of the fire furnace. Therefore, because the king managed to urge the furnace and exceeding hot flame, they slew. The men took up Shadrach, Meshach. I don't understand. How did they end up in there? God help me. Y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm for real. How did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego get in the fire when the men that told them, that were taking them, that were bound, that were chained to them? They bound their hands, they bound their feet, and they got killed when they walked up to the fire, and yet Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego still ended up in the fire. Okay. Yes. All right, y'all. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. Okay. Here it is. First of all, they got in the fire because, you know what they did? They said, you know what, King? God has not given us the spirit of. And since you don't think, since I ain't scared, no way. Y'all ain't helping me here. Since we ain't scared, because we serve a living God. I just told you whether he come or not. Guess what? Whether he shows up or not, I'm still going because I ain't going to bow to you. So guess what? You might got some more men coming. So before you send some more men, I'll just go ahead and step in. Now watch this. They stepped in the fire. No problem. Some of you all in the fire right now. Well, here comes the miracle. They stepped in the fire. Nebuchadnezzar looks through the window. He looks through the window. It must have been a big fire, y'all, because if you got 3 people in the fire, that ain't no little bitty fire. Plus the fire is up times 7. And then you got to look at if it's 3 in the fire, there were 3. There was actually 6 other men in the fire because there was 2 men to every 1 man. Y'all do the math yourself. 6 plus 3 is 9. So that had to be a heck of a fire. Oh, y'all ain't got this. I'll do the studying for you. I'll help somebody. That means the fire had to be a boisterous fire. That means the fire had to be turned up so high. I ain't talking about a couple of coals. You ain't talking about just a barbecue. You talking about some showing up fire. Now, if this fire was turned up where it was and 9 men were in there, but watch this. Here comes the miracle. Nebuchadnezzar looks through this, whatever they call it. They call it some type of mirror. He looks through, and here's the problem. Nebuchadnezzar looks astonished. The text says, and he was astonished and amazed because when he looked through the mirror, he said, wait a minute. Did we not put 3 in the fire? Why do I see 4 in the fire. I wish I had help on that. He said, did we not? He started tripping, y'all. He looked up, he had to look again. Wait a minute. It's 4. Wow. Now watch this. It really wasn't about the number. Catch this. It's in the text. The problem wasn't in the number, the problem was in the nature.
Yes, sir.
Help me, Foster. I'll say it again, maybe you'll catch it. The problem was not in the number, it was in the nature. Watch this. Because how can I put 3 that were bound in the fire and they walking? You'll catch it on the way home. In other words, that's some folk that think they put you in the fire. Guess what? You can put me in the fire, but God still made me lift my hands. Just because I'm in my trial does not mean that I can't lift my hands and thank my God. Because, hey, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Why? Because thou art with me. I feel a little bit good here. Because thou art with me. So even though they were in the fiery furnace, guess what? God was. All right, I'm done. I'm going to leave you alone. Let me close my text. The reason I know, I feel good there. The reason I know that was far in the fight. The king said, come forth, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Well, when it came forth, he thought it was going to be fall coming out. If y'all will shout with me, I'm getting ready to close my argument and go home. But when they came out, there were only 3 of them that came out. That was Shadrach, that was Meshach, and that was Abednego. The reason I can suggest that there were only 3, because when the 3 came out, I believe in my sanctified mind that the 4th one was Jesus. And anybody know that when you come out, Jesus will step right on in? That's good news for somebody. The next time you think you're going through something, don't worry. Because don't worry about coming out. Just know that if you stay there long enough, Jesus said, I'll bring you out and I'll take the heat for you. Yes, sir. How do I know I'm coming out?